Welcome to the infamous podcast. I'm Darryl, and I have a trailerific Thursday for you. Hopefully, everyone has gotten over the hump day. This is Thursday. 2 more days to the weekend, and for that, hopefully, everyone had a great Memorial Day weekend with family and friends. You're able to get out, have some fun, have some relaxation, but also appreciate the sacrifices that were made for us. Many men and women did to get us where we are today. But as I mentioned, Trailer Thursday. What does that mean? I don't know if you were like me, but ever since I was a kid, I love trailers. I was the kid that had to get into the theater before the movie started, before the trailers, even though I had parents that didn't always get to the movies in time, but once I started going to movies by myself, I was always in my seat 10 minutes beforehand so I could see the trailer. Last week, for a person like me, last week was a gold mine. There were at least a dozen trailers of movies that we're expecting, or movies that we weren't sure of, and in some cases, movies I had no idea were coming out. And I'm going to talk about five of those trailers that five trailers that really piqued my interest, not counting the three we discussed last week. The three we discussed last week, the Tomorrow War, Gunpowder Milkshake, and Eternals. Brian and I have already given our opinions on some of those. These are strictly from me. And before we start, let me tell you about some of the trailers that didn't make the cut. Again, there were a lot of trailers last week. And take a drink every time you hear me say the word trailer. First, so the ones that didn't make the cut, there were two, kind of gangster drama movies coming out. Lansky, which tells the story of the mob's accountant Miles Myers Lansky. Oh, words are hard. It stars Minka Kelly, Harvey Keitel, Sam Worthington. Again, and on top of that one was The Birthday Cake, which had a very Goodfellas type feel to it. And this one stars Val Kilmer and Ewan McGregor. This seems more about actually the crime going on and some of the younger clans, parts of the family, being used to being in this type of family, the mob family. Again, just a trailer. Another one, long story short, Rafe Spall, Josh Lawson of Kano fame from Mortal Kombat, and Sarah Newman. This is more of a rom-com, pretty much up my alley. Yes, despite me being all in the geek realm, I am a huge fan of rom-coms. It's one of those things that allows me to, just relax a bit and not worry about overanalyzing, because I tend to overanalyze sometimes, movies that are in my wheelhouse. Finally, Escape Room Tournament of Champions. It stars Taylor Russell and Logan Miller, who were also in the 2019 Escape Room, of which this is the sequel. And finally is False Positive, starring Justin Theroux, Pierce Brosnan, and Ileana Glazer. This has a very Hand That Rocks the Cradles vibe, and this is the only one that I got a definitive release date, as well as where it's going to be. False Positive will be premiering June 25th on Hulu. So, now that those movies are out of the way, let's talk a little bit more about some of the movies that piqued my curiosity. Let's start off with the one I'm probably least excited about, despite the fact that it has probably two of my favorite actors in the sense of I always have a good time watching them on the screen. And that is Jungle Cruise. Yes, Disney's Jungle Cruise. This has been delayed at least a year, I believe. Pretty much in the same camp as Black Widow. Jungle Cruise will be releasing on July 30th in theaters, as well as the Disney Premier Access. From what I could tell from the trailer, it's going to be one of those CG spectacles, not unlike Dolittle, any of the Pirates movies, especially the last few Pirates movies, or the Jumanji 1 and Jumanji 2. Granted, I love those two movies. But just just a lot of CG, a lot of crazy and zaniness. I say it's my least. It's the one I'm least excited for out of these five movies, just for the sense of I know what it is. I don't think it's going to surprise me, but I might have a little bit of fun with it. Speaking of fun, Werewolves Within is number 4 on this list. This is a movie I had no idea about. More to the fact, I didn't even know this was a video game. So I'm watching the trailer and the words Ubisoft come out. And if anyone is in gaming, Ubisoft is a company that's known for the Assassin's Creed sagas. But yes, this was a VR game that came out I think 3 or 4 years ago, and the premise is werewolves invade a town. And that's what the premise we get with the Werewolves Within trailer. People in this town trying to figure out while some of their friends are dying. However, this isn't a serious movie. This is more of one of those. It has that dark comedy, horror comedy, like something along the lines of Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, Zombieland. But there's a little nugget of that, not just survival horror, but also that claustrophobic. I'm trapped in this house, and there's something outside, or maybe something inside, trying to get me. Of 30 Days of Night, which I think is a very underrated vampire flick. The two main the stars are Sam Richardson, which funny enough, he was in Tomorrow War, but he was also in Veep, which that's another series that I hear great things about. I haven't yet gotten to see it, and he's currently voicing a character in the Hulu MODOK series. And then Milana Weintraub, who is probably best known as being the AT&T girl, but she also did a stint on This Is Us, and she's currently cast listed on IMDb as Squirrel Girl in, from what I can see, is a finished pilot for New Warriors. I think I heard something about this a while ago, but just didn't really pay attention to it. Who knows what that is? But Werewolves Within just has that dark comedy feel. I don't know about the action. I don't know about the violence, but from that trailer, I think Sam Richardson's going to steal the show. It comes out July 2nd. I'm not sure if it's in theaters or is it going to be one of those on-demand digital streaming movies. But I am looking forward to this. This is one of those movies that just looks like it's a lot of fun. And yeah, that's what it's there for. Getting a little bit more serious, and on number 3 on this list is Old. Premiering July 23rd in theaters, Old is an adaptation of the graphic novel Sandcastle, which I have not read, and is being directed by M. Night Shyamalan. This is one of those movies that I really like the trailer, although this is the second trailer that I'm reviewing, and I believe the first trailer would have been enough. But it's a movie where on a secluded beach, a family gets to this beach and they realize that somehow every moment they're aging. Very interesting premise. Not sure where it's going. Because it's an adaptation, I don't know if we're going to have that M. Night Shyamalan twist that we're used to. But considering what he's done in the last few years with Split, which was phenomenal, Glass, not so much, but still pretty decent, and then Servant, who based on Rotten Tomato ratings is going pretty well, is pretty good as well on Apple TV. It did well enough to get a second season. I am looking forward to this. And again, it's one of those things. Alex Wolff plays one of the characters he was the brother in Hereditary, and it has that Hereditary A24 really deliberate feel and tone that those A24 movies are known for, which again, I really love those A24 movies. It just shows you don't need a big studio behind you to make quality content, whether it be horror, drama, what have you. So Old, again, July 23rd. I believe that is theaters, but who knows? It might be one of those where they do the early access and $20 for renting, which, yeah, I'm not going to do that, but I will definitely go check this out in theaters. Number 2 on this list, and this is the one that we still have quite a while before this comes out, and that's Last Night in Soho. This is not until coming out sometime in October, and it kind of makes sense. It looks like some type of ghost story, horror, supernatural. affair. It stars Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie, who Thomasin McKenzie is also an old, and she was, if you might know her from Jojo Rabbit, another just fantastic movie. The premise of this is a young fashion designer. She's able to enter into the 1960s where she encounters her idol, a dazzling wannabe singer. But 1960s London is not what it seems, and time seems to fall apart with shady consequences. That's about as generic a description as you can get for a movie. And the trailer is the same thing. And this is what I love about the trailer. Last week, I said the Eternals did a good job not showing what the movie was about or not showing too much of the plot of the movie. And yet it did not capture my interest. Last Night in Soho does that. It's a very ominous tone to it, in part due to the cover of Paula Clark's Downtown. There's a nostalgia in it, and I think that's part of that 60s part coming out, that the idea that the golden 60s or what have you. And it has a great cast, not only Thomasin McKenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy, but Jesse Miley, who was the protagonist in Shadow and Bone, Diana Rigg, who was the indomitable Lady Olenna in Game of Thrones. Matt Smith is in this. Strong cast, and I just think there is a lot of potential for this movie. I'm excited because I don't know much about it, and just the trailer was cut so well. It also has that kind of Suspiria type tone to it, and I think this is the only trailer I might watch of this. Again, this doesn't come out till October, so we should be getting another trailer closer to that release date. But I think I'm just going to say I'm okay. I like what I saw here, and I'm going to give this a go. And that leaves my most anticipated movie, which, funny enough, is the one earliest on the schedule, and that is Infinite. Infinite is set to premiere June 10th on Paramount Plus. It stars Mark Wahlberg and Chiwetel Ejiofor. The idea is that a man discovers his hallucinations are actually visions from past lives. Now, this isn't necessarily. Oh, Dylan O'Brien is in this as well. That's even more of a plus. Now, this seems like it is more of a reincarnation story, but it did put me in mind a little bit of The Old Guard, on the Netflix movie with Charlize Theron, where she and several others were warriors that just lived through time, immortals basically. I like the idea of this this twist where it's not the body, but it's the mind and spirit that retains the information. So, based in the trailer, Mark Wahlberg has no idea. He's been diagnosed since he was 14 as schizophrenic, based on the trailer, and he has to figure out a way to unlock the potential within him. There's actually a line that says, "If you can remember who you were, you can understand who you can become." That lends itself to so many possibilities of, you live these thousands, you've died 1,000 times. How much, all those lifetimes, if you could unlock, just like you would a computer file, each and every experience or each and every skill set for a certain situation, this movie could be, it's really it's right up my alley. I love this type of immortal warrior story, but I will say it's probably the one that could disappoint me the most, partially because my expectations, and partially some of the stuff I saw in the trailer, some of the action scenes were a little bit hokey, and I'm just not sure how on a Paramount Plus. I don't know the budget. I don't know much about this movie, considering that before I saw the trailer a few days ago, I had no idea it existed. So I like Mark Wahlberg, love Ejiofor. I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to take a month out on Paramount Plus, check it out. I'm really hoping it's good, but who knows? And with that, how about a little bit of Spider-Man news? Not news, more like rumors. I got this video from the Cosmic Wonder, whom I know nothing about. I don't know his credentials. I don't know the track record of sharing rumors and how true they are. So I'm going to take this with a pinch of salt, although I'm not going to give you that much. The idea is one, as far as trailers go, the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, the thought was that it would be released on Memorial Day. It was not. So now the scuttlebutt is that anytime within the next 2 weeks, we could see this trailer drop. I'm really looking forward to this trailer. There's a lot of buzz around this movie, and it's been a big buzz for the last month or two with just the casting itself. Is Andrew Garfield in it? Is Tobey Maguire in it? Is Willem Dafoe in it? Doctor Strange. Who's going to be in it? How long? How much? How important are they to this movie? And I just don't have the answers. Although some of these rumors, and when I say rumors, I don't mean, oh, this happens or this happens. The rumors I'm talking about, this was basically a point by point breakdown of the main action set of the script, which I don't usually listen to things like this, but I I don't know why. I just did it. I really, and in part that's why I hope a lot of this isn't true. I will say a few things that Doctor Strange plays a major role in this movie. Major in the sense of how Tony Stark played a major role in Spider-Man Homecoming. The good news is it seems that Peter, and when I use the word Peter, I'm talking about Tom Holland's Peter. He does find a way to do things in the end without the help, but that's been my biggest problem with Spider-Man in the MCU. Granted, he is a teenager, 14, 15 years old when we first meet him. So, I mean, he's 6 months into the job. It's getting to the point, though, now where he needs to strike out on his own. They need to do a Spider Man movie with Peter being Peter. And yeah, maybe having someone like Ned in the chair, to quote a Homecoming line. But I don't know if they are, considering that we are getting in the next couple months the Let There Be Carnage movie, and the idea of teaming Venom with Spider-Man to take on Carnage maybe down the line. Again, there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts going on. So I said the Doctor Strange thing, but also from these rumored leaks that Norman Osborn is the main villain, and it's Peter's fault that Norman Osborn and the majority of the old Spider-Man saga villains get out into the world and start wrecking shop. I'll leave it at that, just because that I think is enough in and of itself. And it was, I believe it was vague enough. I didn't give out any like really serious story points. And that's where I think we're wanting this trailer so bad, is because there's so much uncertainty with this. And, Marvel is very loose with the truth, as we saw with things like Infinity War and Endgame, for the betterment of the audience, don't get me wrong. And I mean, they've done it to the point where they doctored trailers to fool us trusting fans. I can't get mad at them for that, because if I didn't get anything spoiled from me for Endgame or Infinity War, hence why that's why I was so adamant to see them on the Thursday nights that they came out. That's why I was so adamant not to look at anything on social media. I didn't have to worry about the cesspool of Twitter, just because I don't tweet, or not anymore at least. I'm reformed. And so I'm hoping that maybe they throw a swirly dervish to us with this in some way, shape, or form, because this has the potential to be craziness, especially if you're bringing in three Spider-Man, or bringing in two Spider-Man, I should say. I'm looking forward to this. Spider-Man No Way Home, scheduled for release December 17th. It could be it could be that jump start the MCU needs, because while Black Widow is on its own, I'll be excited. I tell people I'll be excited once I'm in the theater, once I'm sitting down, and 5 minutes after the movie has started. Now, Shang-Chi and Eternals, not excited for those at all. I will take a look at them. Don't get me wrong. I am a Marvel fanboy as well. I'm a comic book fanboy. Let's be honest. I go see DC movies too. So I'm really hoping this is that first movie to just jumpstart what has been a lackluster year awaiting Marvel movies. Not though it's not all Marvel's fault, or it's not all DC's fault, or not DC, but Disney's fault in this. They bear a brunt of the blame, but there's this thing that happened that kind of messed up their timeline. But again, looking forward to it. If you want more of that, you can check out the Cosmic Wonders keep saying webpage, but YouTube channel. And that's about it. But it's not. Before I go, I want to give you all a little, peek into the mind of Darryl, which now that I think about it, that's kind of a scary proposition. So in this regard, it's just some of the things I'm watching right now, what's on my list. And currently, I just started season 5B of Lucifer. I have yet to start season 2 of Ragnarok, which is another fantasy show. I believe it's a Norwegian show on Netflix. And a couple weeks ago, I did say that I'm late to the party, but I finally started season 1 of Demon Slayer, and I'm loving it. I will say all of these shows, once I get done with them, I will be putting up reviews of this, and maybe I'll get Brian to. I think I'll try to get Brian to watch Demon Slayer, even though it's an anime and 26 episodes long. It's just a pretty long first season. And if you all aren't about that, there are a couple other movies that are coming out this weekend. Sweet Tooth is done by Robert Downey Jr. and his wife's production company. It comes out June 4th. I believe it's on Netflix. And The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, is also June 4th, and it will be on HBO Max as well as in theaters. What am I going to be doing this weekend? I'm going to be going to see A Quiet Place 2. So other than all of the streaming stuff, I'm going to get into the theater. This will be my first real theater experience since, I believe, August and The New Mutants, which it was great being in theaters. It would have been even better if it was a good movie. I did not get to see the first Quiet Place in theaters, and I think that was one of those things that I do regret as a big movie buff. So I'm looking forward to seeing this in an audience of like 6 people, whatever it may be. I do see that it's doing pretty well at the box office. I've seen a couple reviews, non-spoiler reviews about it, and with people that I trust their movie opinions, and they all of them have said this movie is very good too. Some even said it was better than the first. I'm not sure if it's going to be that good, but I'm looking forward to it. So there you have it. There's lots of trailers, and gave you some Spider-Man news, and what's on my viewing list. With that, I just got to say, we'll be seeing you this weekend for our weekly podcast. Who knows what we're going to bring in this week? Maybe we'll get more Spider-Man news by the time we record on Friday. But again, hope you all are having a blessed week, and I'll talk to you later.